The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., but I was already awake, staring at the ceiling with eyes that burned from lack of sleep. My 6-year-old daughter Emma had been up half the night with a fever, and the other half I'd spent worrying about the presentation I needed to finish for work. As I dragged myself to the bathroom mirror, the man staring back looked like he'd aged 10 years in the 6 months since Sarah had left us. If you've ever felt like life was piling on more than you could handle, stick around until the end of this story. I promise, what happened next changed everything for me in ways I never expected. Before I dive deeper into what happened that morning with my boss, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe if you're a parent trying to balance it all, or if you've ever felt overwhelmed by life's challenges. Your support means everything, and there are more stories like this one coming your way. The morning routine was chaos, as usual. Emma's fever had broken, but she was cranky and refusing to eat breakfast. The kitchen was a disaster from last night's attempt at making chicken soup. Bills were scattered across the dining table, reminders of the financial tightrope I'd been walking since becoming a single parent. And somewhere in the mess was the USB drive with my unfinished presentation. "Daddy, I don't want to go to school," Emma whimpered, her blonde curls sticking to her forehead. "I know, sweetheart, but Ms. Patty will take good care of you," I said, trying to sound reassuring while frantically searching for her other shoe. "And I'll pick you up early, I promise." The truth was, I couldn't afford to miss work today. My 6-month performance review was scheduled with Katherine Reynolds, my direct supervisor and the company's newest executive. Katherine had a reputation for being brilliant but demanding, the kind of boss who expected excellence and had little patience for excuses. In the 3 months she'd been overseeing my department, we'd barely exchanged more than professional pleasantries. By the time I dropped Emma at school, late, with mismatched socks and a hastily packed lunch, I was already 20 minutes behind schedule. Racing to the office, I rehearsed explanations and apologies in my head, none of which sounded adequate. The presentation wasn't ready. I looked like I hadn't slept in days. And I probably smelled like children's medicine and desperation. When I finally rushed through the office doors, Katherine was standing by the reception desk, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Her expression was unreadable as she checked her watch. "James. My office." "10 minutes," she said simply, before turning on her heel. I slumped at my desk, powering up my computer with shaking hands. The presentation file opened to reveal my work from the night before, disjointed, incomplete, and nowhere near the standard Katherine would expect. This could be the final straw that cost me my job, and without this job, how would I support Emma? 10 minutes later, I knocked on Katherine's office door, bracing myself for the worst. "Come in," she called. I stepped inside, clutching my laptop and a coffee that I'd barely touched. Katherine was seated behind her desk, but instead of the stern expression I expected, she looked concerned. "Sit down, James," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. I sat, already launching into my prepared apology. "Ms. Reynolds, I know the presentation isn't where it should be. My daughter was sick last night, and I..." She held up a hand, stopping me mid-sentence. "James, when was the last time you ate a proper meal?" The question caught me completely off guard. What? Katherine stood up and walked to a small table by the window that I hadn't noticed before. On it was a spread that made my stomach growl involuntarily, a thermos of what smelled like coffee, several containers of food, and 2 plates. "I've been watching you these past few months," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "You're always the first one here and the last to leave. Your work is excellent, but lately..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Lately, you look like you're drowning." I felt a lump form in my throat, embarrassment and relief battling for dominance. "I'm managing," I said stiffly. Katherine smiled, but there was no pity in it, just understanding. "I know what managing looks like. I raised my brother after our parents died. I was 22, he was 12, and I thought I had to be superhuman. She gestured to the chair again. Sit. Eat. Then we'll talk about the presentation. Stunned, I watched as she uncovered containers of scrambled eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, and still warm biscuits. My grandmother's recipe, she explained, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. She always said a good breakfast can solve half your problems. As we ate, Katherine didn't press me about work. Instead, she asked about Emma, listened as I stumbled through explanations of school routines and pediatrician visits. For the first time in months, I felt the tight knot in my chest begin to loosen. The presentation can wait until tomorrow, she said finally, as we finished eating. Today, I want you to focus on reorganizing your project timeline. And James? Her eyes met mine directly. The company has resources for employees with family challenges. Flexible hours, emergency childcare options. You're not the only parent trying to make it all work. I left her office an hour later with a full stomach, a revised work schedule that would let me pick Emma up from school on time, and information about the company's family support programs I hadn't known existed. That unexpected breakfast marked the beginning of a change, not just in my professional life, but in how I approached the challenges of single parenthood. Katherine became not just a boss but a mentor who understood the delicate balance I was trying to maintain. She didn't lower her expectations of my work, but she helped me find ways to meet them without sacrificing my daughter's needs. 6 months later, when Emma was hospitalized with pneumonia, it was Katherine who showed up with a laptop so I could work remotely from the hospital room. A year after that, when I was promoted to senior manager, she was the first to congratulate me, with another breakfast spread and a card signed by Emma, who had drawn a picture of the 3 of us. Life doesn't always give us what we expect. Sometimes it takes away the people we thought would always be there. Sometimes it piles on challenges that seem impossible to overcome. But sometimes, when we're at our most vulnerable, it sends us exactly the support we need, even if it comes from the most unexpected sources. So if you're watching this and feeling like you're fighting your battles alone, remember my story. Look around. Help might be closer than you think, perhaps from someone you've never considered an ally. And if you see someone struggling, remember what a simple act of kindness, like an unexpected breakfast, can mean to someone who's bruised by life's challenges. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content that celebrates the unexpected connections that help us through our toughest times.